I used to think the worst moment of my life would feel like an explosion. Some dramatic, earth-shattering event that would leave me gasping in the debris. Instead, it was quiet. Just the soft click of my grandmother's antique door handle as I pushed it open, and the rustle of bed sheets that weren't supposed to be moving at 2 in the afternoon. Ian. My voice came out smaller than I intended. Stupid, really. I already knew it was him. I'd recognize the broad slope of his shoulders anywhere. What I didn't recognize was the cascade of honey blonde hair spilling across my pillow, until my sister Allison lifted her head and met my eyes. Time stretched like taffy. I stood frozen in the doorway, my hand still gripping that brass handle, its familiar warmth now burning against my palm. The diamond on my left hand caught the afternoon light, throwing tiny rainbows across the wall, a cruel reminder of promises made just 6 weeks ago. "Sophia," Ian started, but I was already backing away. My heel caught the edge of the hallway rug, the one Allison had helped me pick out last month. I stumbled, caught myself against the wall. The frame I hit held our family photo from last Christmas. My sister and I, arms around each other, matching smiles. Lies, all of it. "Don't." The word came out raw. Just don't. I ran. Down the stairs, past the living room where we'd spent countless movie nights, through the kitchen where Ian had proposed. Behind me, I heard scrambling, Ian calling my name, but I was already out the front door. The spring air hit my face, too warm, too sweet with blooming cherry blossoms. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Probably Ian or Allison. I yanked it out, ready to throw it, but Hope's name flashed on the screen. My best friend. The only person I could trust now. "Hey, you okay? You're not answering your texts." "They're sleeping together." My voice cracked. "Hope, I just walked in on them. In my bed, my sister and my fiancé." Silence stretched across the line. Then, "I'm coming to get you. Where are you?" I looked around, realizing I'd been walking blindly. "Parker Street, by the coffee shop." "Stay there, 10 minutes. I sank onto a bench, my legs finally giving out. An elderly woman walked past, smiling kindly. She probably thought I was just another young professional taking a break. She couldn't see how my world had imploded, how every memory was being rewritten in cruel new light. All those late nights Allison spent helping with wedding planning. The way Ian insisted we use her as our photographer. The knowing looks they must have shared behind my back. God, how long had this been going on? My phone buzzed again, a text from Allison. "We need to talk, it's not what you think." Another buzz. "Ian, please let me explain. I never meant to hurt you." I laughed, a harsh sound that startled a nearby pigeon. The engagement ring felt like it was burning my finger. I tried to pull it off, but my hands were shaking too badly. Hope's blue Subaru screeched to a halt at the curb. She jumped out, still in her detective's badge and blazer, and wrapped me in a fierce hug. I broke then, sobbing into her shoulder like I hadn't since we were kids. "I've got you," she murmured. "We'll figure this out." I trusted them. My voice was muffled against her jacket. They were the two people I trusted most in the world. "I know," Hope's tone hardened, "and they're going to regret this." She guided me to her car, but I froze when I saw something on the passenger seat. A cream-colored envelope, elaborate gold lettering visible through the window. "What's that?" Hope's expression darkened. "It came to the station today. I was bringing it to you." I picked up the envelope with numb fingers. The return address was my sister's. Inside was a wedding invitation, dated 3 months from now. The names made my stomach lurch. "Allison Cooper and Ian Long request the pleasure of your company." 3 months, I whispered. "They're getting married in 3 months." Hope's hand found mine, squeezing hard. "What do you want to do?" I stared at the invitation, at my sister's name, entwined with my fiancé's in elegant script. The diamond ring on my finger, my grandmother's ring, passed down through generations, caught the light again. The ring Allison had always envied, the one she'd be wearing now. Something cold and hard crystallized in my chest. "I want them to pay." Hope studied my face for a long moment. Okay, she said finally. Then let's make them pay. Hope's apartment became my refuge that night. I sat curled on her couch, still in my work clothes, staring at my phone as the messages piled up. 37 from Ian, 23 from Allison. Each notification felt like another twist of the knife. You need to eat something, Hope said, setting a mug of tea in front of me. The steam carried hints of chamomile, but my stomach churned at the thought of consuming anything. I need to understand how long. My voice sounded hollow, even to me. Was it happening when he proposed? When we picked out the venue? When... Don't torture yourself. Hope sat beside me, her detective's instincts clearly warring with her role as best friend. Though, if you want answers, I might have a way. I looked up. What do you mean? Remember that case I worked last year? The one with the corrupt accountant? She leaned forward, lowering her voice despite us being alone. I still have some contacts who are really good at accessing information. The implication hung in the air. Part of me wanted to refuse, to take the high road, to be better than them. But then my phone buzzed again, and Allison's text preview flashed across the screen. You're being dramatic. Just let me explain. Dramatic. The word ignited something dark inside me. Do it. Hope made a call, speaking in clipped, professional tones. I half listened, my mind drifting to all the signs I'd missed. The way Ian always insisted on having guys' nights when Allison was in town. How my sister volunteered to help with his Christmas shopping, coming back hours later with nothing to show for it. A knock at the door startled me from my thoughts. Hope checked the peephole, then opened it to reveal a tall man in a sharp suit. Prince? I recognized Allison's ex-boyfriend, though I hadn't seen him since their messy breakup 2 years ago. Sophia. He nodded, his expression grim. Hope called. Said you needed to know the truth about Allison. My chest tightened. What truth? He pulled out his phone, scrolling through it with precise movements. I kept everything. The texts, the emails, the photos. I thought about exposing it all when she left me, but... He shrugged. I decided to be the bigger person. Now I'm thinking that was a mistake. He handed me the phone. The first image was a hotel receipt from 8 months ago, when Ian was supposedly at a business conference in Chicago. Except this receipt was from the Four Seasons in Boston, where Allison had been for a photography workshop. My hands shook as I scrolled. More receipts, restaurant charges, a jewelry store purchase the day before Ian proposed to me. Then text messages between them, stretching back over a year. There's more, Prince said quietly, but you might want to brace yourself. The next image made my blood run cold. It was a bank statement showing regular transfers from Ian's account to Allison's, starting 3 months before he proposed. The amounts matched the wedding photography deposits he'd insisted on handling himself. They were planning this, I whispered. The whole time they were... My phone rang, Allison's face lighting up the screen. Without thinking, I answered. Finally, look, I know you're upset, but how long? My voice was ice. What? How long have you been sleeping with my fiancé, Allison? Was it before or after you helped him pick out my engagement ring? Before or after you convinced me to let you photograph the wedding? Silence crackled across the line. Then, in that condescending tone she'd perfected since childhood. It's complicated, Sophia. You wouldn't understand. Ian and I, we have a connection funded by his bank account. The words tasted like poison. Those deposits must have really helped your photography business, sis. Another pause. When she spoke again, her voice had lost its smoothness. Who told you about that? Prince? That pathetic. Goodbye, Allison. I ended the call and turned to Hope and Prince. I want everything. Every receipt, every message, every dirty little secret they thought they could hide. Hope's expression was carefully neutral. What are you planning? I thought about the wedding invitation, still sitting in Hope's car, about the way Allison had hugged me after Ian proposed, whispering, I'm so happy for you, while wearing the bracelet he'd bought her the day before. They want a wedding? I smiled, and it felt like breaking glass. Let's give them one they'll never forget. Prince raised an eyebrow. I'm in. Whatever you need. Hope sighed, but I saw the determination in her eyes. Just promise me one thing, Sophia. Whatever we do it smart. No impulsive moves. I nodded, my grandmother's ring catching the light one last time before I slipped it off. Trust me, impulsive is the last thing this will be. The storage unit smelled like dust and forgotten promises. I stood in front of the small safe tucked in the corner, my grandmother's ring heavy in my palm. Inside were the only copies of photos from my parents' wedding, the ones Alison had always coveted, claiming they'd been lost when she moved. You sure about this? Hope asked, flashlight beam steady on the safe's dial. They're in here, along with Mum's jewelry. I twisted the combination, Alison's birthday, because of course that's what our mother had used. She always said she'd keep them safe for me. The safe clicked open. Inside, nestled among velvet pouches and yellowed envelopes, sat a familiar blue folder. My hands trembled as I pulled it out. Well, that's interesting. Prince's voice made me jump. He stood in the doorway, silhouetted against the fluorescent hallway lights. Your sister's been busy with more than just Ian. He handed me his phone. On the screen was an email chain between Alison and our family lawyer, dated 3 months ago. My eyes caught phrases like transfer of ownership and family estate. She's trying to claim Grandma's house. The words came out choked. But that's supposed to be split between us. Keep reading. I scrolled down, my vision blurring. Alison had been laying groundwork for months, documenting every time I'd shown instability or made concerning decisions. The final email mentioned her upcoming marriage to Ian as proof she could provide a stable family environment for the property. I'm going to be sick. I sat heavily on a dusty box, the folder of wedding photos clutched to my chest. Hope's hand found my shoulder. We can use this. If she's trying to manipulate the inheritance. A shadow moved in the hallway. We all froze. Hello? A familiar voice called out. Is someone in there? Griffin, my co-worker. The one person at work who'd noticed something was wrong when I stopped wearing my engagement ring. Sophia. He appeared in the doorway, confusion clear on his face. What are you doing here? I could ask you the same thing, I managed, trying to look casual while Hope subtly moved to block the safe. I rent the unit next door. His eyes moved from me to Prince to Hope, then to the folder in my hands. Are you okay? You've seemed off lately. And now this. I'm fine. The lie tasted bitter. Just collecting some old photos. At 9 p.m., with a detective. He gestured to Hope's badge, still visible on her belt. Look, if you're in trouble. She's not, Prince cut in smoothly. But someone else might be. Someone who's been taking advantage of family connections. Understanding dawned in Griffin's eyes. This is about your sister, isn't it? And Ian. The sound of their names together made me flinch. Griffin noticed. Let me help, he said quietly. Whatever's going on, you don't have to handle it alone. You don't understand what you're offering, I warned. This could get messy. I understand enough. He stepped fully into the unit, closing the door behind him. I understand that 2 people who claimed to love you betrayed you, and I understand that sometimes justice needs a little help. Hope shot me a warning look, but I was already pulling out my phone, showing Griffin the evidence Prince had gathered. His expression darkened as he scrolled. There's more, I said, opening the folder of wedding photos. She's trying to steal our inheritance, using her relationship with Ian to prove she's more stable than me. Griffin handed back my phone. You know what's interesting about financial fraud? It's amazing how many people forget about digital footprints, especially when they're accessing legal documents they shouldn't have. What do you mean? I mean, I work in cybersecurity, Sophia. And if someone were hypothetically trying to access confidential files without authorization, Hope straightened. That would be a criminal offense. Only if they get caught. Griffin's smile was sharp. So, what's the plan? I looked at the three people around me. Hope with her legal knowledge, Prince with his evidence, Griffin with his technical skills. Then I thought of Alison's smug text. "You're being dramatic. The plan," I said, pulling out the wedding invitation, "is to make sure their perfect day has some unexpected guests, starting with the family lawyer." "That's risky," Hope cautioned. "If we move too fast—" My phone buzzed. A text from Adam, my ex. "Heard about Ian. Need to talk. It's important." "Speaking of unexpected guests," Prince muttered. I stared at the message, remembering how things had ended with Adam, messy and unfinished, like a book missing its final chapter. Now he wanted back in the story. "Maybe we need risky," I said, more to myself than the others. Maybe safe is what got me here in the first place. I typed back a single word. "When?" The diner's neon sign cast a sickly blue glow across Adam's face as he slid into the booth across from me. 3 years since our breakup, and he still ordered the same black coffee, still wore that battered leather jacket. "You look good," he said, studying me over the rim of his mug. Considering my fiancé is marrying my sister." The words didn't hurt as much as they had yesterday. Maybe I was going numb. "How did you hear?" "Ian called me." Adam's expression darkened. Wanted to explain his side before I found out from someone else, like he was doing me a favor. My stomach clenched. "What did he say?" "That you were unstable, that Alison was just trying to help, and things happened." He reached across the table, his fingers brushing mine. "I know that's bullshit, Sophia. I know you." I pulled my hand back. "Do you? Because last time we were here, you said I was too intense, too focused on what everyone else thought." "I was wrong." His voice dropped. "And I think that's why Ian targeted you, because you care so deeply about family, about doing the right thing. He knew you wouldn't see it coming." Something cold settled in my chest. "What aren't you telling me?" Adam glanced around the nearly empty diner, then pulled out his phone. "Remember Marcus from accounting? He sent me this." The email on his screen was from Ian to the company's HR department, dated 2 months ago. A request for transfer to the Boston office, effective immediately after his wedding. Along with it, a recommendation letter for Alison to take over his current position. "They're not just stealing your life," Adam said quietly. "They're taking your future. That promotion you've been working toward? The one Ian kept saying you were a shoo-in for?" My coffee turned to acid in my stomach. The promotion I'd spent 3 years earning, staying late, taking on extra projects, all while Ian apparently planned to hand it to my sister. "There's more," Adam continued. "Marcus said Ian's been quietly undermining your work for months. Small things, taking credit for your ideas, suggesting you might not be ready for more responsibility." The fluorescent light suddenly felt too bright, the vinyl booth too sticky. "I think I need some air." Outside, the night air was thick with approaching rain. I leaned against the brick wall, trying to steady my breathing, while Adam stood quietly beside me. "Why are you telling me this?" I finally asked. "Why get involved?" "Because I remember how it felt, watching you doubt yourself when we were together. How hard you worked to prove everyone wrong." He turned to face me. "And because I saw what Alison did to Prince, how she played the victim while destroying him professionally." My phone buzzed. A text from Griffin. "Found something in the lawyer's files. You need to see this." "I have to go." I straightened, already reaching for my keys. "Wait." Adam caught my wrist. "Whatever you're planning, and I know you're planning something, be careful. Ian's not just some cheating fiancé. He's methodical. He's been laying groundwork for months. So have I." I met his eyes. "Are you warning me off or offering to help?" "Both. Neither." He ran a hand through his hair in frustration. "Just remember what happened with Marcus when he tried to expose corporate fraud last year." I remembered. Marcus had all the evidence, all the proof. He'd also ended up blacklisted from every major firm in the city. "I'm not Marcus," I said, "and I'm not the same person you broke up with 3 years ago." "No." Adam agreed softly. You're not. That's what scares me. My phone buzzed again. Hope this time. Where are you? Griffin found proof of wire fraud. I have to go, I repeated, already moving toward my car. Sophia, Adam's voice stopped me. There's one more thing. The night before Ian proposed to you, he was with Alison. They had dinner with your family lawyer. Something about updating your grandmother's will. The pieces clicked together. The inheritance, the promotion, the careful documentation of my instability. They weren't just planning a wedding. They were systematically dismantling my life. Thank you, I said, meaning it, for telling me. What are you going to do? I thought about the safe in the storage unit, about Griffin's discovery, about Prince's evidence. I'm going to show them what happens when you underestimate someone. The first drops of rain hit the pavement as I drove away, leaving Adam in the rearview mirror. My phone lit up with another text, from Ian this time. We need to talk about the house. Your sister's worried about your state of mind. I smiled, and it felt like war. Oh, we'll talk, I whispered to the empty car, but not until I'm ready. Griffin's apartment looked like a command center from a heist movie. Laptops surrounded him on the coffee table, screens filled with financial records and email chains. Hope paced behind the couch, her detective's mind clearly racing. It's worse than we thought, Griffin said as I shrugged off my rain-soaked jacket. The wire transfers? They're just the beginning. He turned one laptop toward me. The document displayed was a trust agreement, my grandmother's elegant signature at the bottom. Except, that's not her signature. I leaned closer, stomach churning. The G is wrong. She always looped it twice. Exactly. Hope stopped pacing. And guess who notarized it? The family lawyer, I whispered, remembering Adam's words about that dinner before Ian's proposal. 3 days before your grandmother passed, Griffin confirmed, when she was in the hospital, barely conscious. The implications hit me like a physical blow. I sank onto the couch, the room spinning slightly. They forged her signature. They waited until she couldn't fight back, and they just... There's more. Prince emerged from the kitchen, his usual polish cracked by obvious anger. Show her the emails, Griffin. Another screen. Another betrayal. Emails between Alison and Ian, dating back to before I'd even met him. They'd planned everything. How he would accidentally meet me at the charity gala. How he'd pursue me while keeping Alison in the background. I was never anything but a stepping stone. The words tasted like ashes. A way to get the inheritance, the house, the job. You were the golden child, Prince said quietly. The one your parents trusted with the family business. The one your grandmother chose. Alison couldn't stand it. My phone lit up, Alison's face on the screen. Without thinking, I answered. Finally decided to be reasonable. Her voice dripped honey-sweet concern. Ian and I are worried about you, hiding away like this. It's not healthy. Like forging a dying woman's signature? The line went dead silent. Or maybe like planning to steal her granddaughter's life. Who? She caught herself. I don't know what you're talking about. You're obviously having some kind of breakdown. Stop. My voice shook with rage. Just stop. I have the emails, Alison. The trust agreement. Everything. A pause. Then her tone changed completely. What do you want? Excuse me. To keep quiet. What's your price? Clinical, calculating. The sister I never truly knew. Name it. Ian and I can... Can what? Pay me off with the money you stole? I laughed, and it sounded strange even to my ears. You really don't know me at all, do you? Don't be stupid, Sophia. Think about Mom and Dad. Think about the scandal. Goodbye, Alison. I ended the call and looked up to find 3 pairs of eyes watching me intently. She'll come after you now, Hope warned. They both will. No more playing nice. Good. I stood, walking to Griffin's evidence wall. Photos, documents, timelines all connected with red string. Because I'm done playing nice too. My phone buzzed again. A text from Adam. Ian's looking for your grandmother's ring. Says it's a family emergency. They're getting desperate, Prince observed, reading over my shoulder. That's when people make mistakes. Or when they get dangerous, Hope countered. We need to be smart about this. Griffin cleared his throat. Actually, I might have an idea, but... He hesitated. You're not going to like it. Try me. The wedding's at the Grand Hotel, right? Where you work events sometimes. At my nod, he continued. Well, what if we didn't just expose them? What if we let them think they've won first? Understanding dawned. You want me to play along? Just long enough to get everything in place. The hotel's security system, the guest list, the timing. He gestured to his screens. We could turn their perfect day into the moment everything falls apart. It's risky, Hope said. If they suspect anything. They won't. I walked to the window, watching rain streak the glass. Because they think they know exactly who I am. The good sister, the reliable one, the one who always takes the high road. My phone lit up one more time. An email from the family lawyer, requesting an urgent meeting to discuss concerning behavior. Right on cue. I turned back to my unlikely allies, the detective, the ex, the tech expert, each bringing pieces of the puzzle together. The wedding's in 8 weeks, I said. Let's make them count. Prince raised an eyebrow. You sure about this? Once we start, they took everything from me. I picked up my grandmother's ring from my pocket, holding it to the light. Now I'm going to take everything from them, starting with their perfect day. The rain pounded harder against the windows, nature's applause for the storm to come. The bridal boutique's bell chimed as I entered, and my sister's face lit up with calculated joy. You came! Allison rushed forward, arms open. I let her hug me, feeling like a spy behind enemy lines. Of course. I forced a smile, remembering Griffin's coaching. You're still my sister. The boutique owner cooed at our reconciliation, while Hope watched silently from a corner, playing her role as the supportive friend. We'd planned this carefully, my apparent breakdown, followed by a tearful phone call accepting Allison's invitation to her final fitting. The dress is perfect, Allison gushed, twirling in layers of white silk. Ian's going to lose his mind. Not the only thing he's going to lose, I thought, but kept my expression neutral. It's beautiful. Speaking of Ian, Allison's voice turned hesitant. He really wants to talk to you. Clear the air before the wedding. I don't know if I'm ready. The tremor in my voice wasn't entirely acting. Please? She grabbed my hands, and for a moment I saw the sister I'd grown up with, the one I'd trusted with everything. Just coffee? Tomorrow morning at Marcel's? From the corner, Hope gave an imperceptible nod. Marcel's was perfect, public enough to be safe, close enough to Griffin's surveillance setup. Okay, I whispered. Tomorrow. Allison beamed, turning back to the mirror. You know, it's funny. I always thought you'd be the first to get married. You were always so... conventional. The word hit like a slap. In the mirror's reflection, I saw Hope tense. But life's surprising, isn't it? Allison continued, adjusting her veil. Sometimes the person you think is perfect for someone else turns out to be perfect for you instead. My nails dug into my palms. How long? How long were you in love with him? Allison's hand stilled on the veil. Our eyes met in the mirror. Always, she said softly, since the night you introduced us. But he was with you, and I tried to be happy for you both. I really did. Liar. The word slipped out before I could stop it. She spun to face me, silk rustling. Excuse me? I saw the emails, Allison. From before I met Ian, you planned everything. The boutique owner disappeared into the back room, sensing the tension. Hope moved closer, ready to intervene. You weren't supposed to find those. Allison's voice turned cold. You're really making this harder than it needs to be, like you made it hard for Prince, destroying his career when he caught on to your games. Prince was a mistake. He didn't understand what Ian and I have. She stepped closer, dropping her voice. Just like you don't understand that sometimes love means taking what you want, whatever it costs. Even if it costs your sister everything? Oh, Sophia. She touched my cheek, a parody of sisterly affection. You'll bounce back. You always do. The reliable one, remember. But if you keep pushing... Her nail dug in slightly. Well, the family's already worried about your mental state. It would be a shame if your work found out about your... episodes. My phone buzzed. A text from Griffin. Got it all, audio and video. I stepped back, letting out a shaky breath. You really think you've won, don't you? Haven't I? She turned back to the mirror, adjusting her perfect dress. I get Ian, the house, the promotion. You get... What? Some moral high ground. That's always been your problem, Sophia. You play by the rules and wonder why you lose. Hope's hand found my shoulder, steadying me. Another text lit up my phone. From Ian. Can't wait to talk tomorrow. There's so much you need to understand. You're right, I said, watching Alison preen. I did always play by the rules. She smiled smugly. But rules can change. I walked out of the boutique, Hope close behind. In the car, she finally spoke. You okay? No. I pulled out my phone, dialing Griffin. But I will be. Did you get what we needed? Every word. His voice crackled through the speaker, including the threat. Prince is already working on the video edit. Good. I stared at the boutique's facade, at Alison visible through the window in her perfect white dress. Because tomorrow's coffee with Ian, that's our last piece. You sure you can handle it? Hope asked, being face to face with him. I thought of Alison's words. Sometimes love means taking what you want, whatever it costs. Watch me. I started the car, leaving my sister's reflection behind. By this time tomorrow, they'll wish they'd never underestimated the reliable one. My phone lit up one last time. A message from Adam. Ian's getting nervous, making calls about moving up the wedding date. Let him try, I muttered, pressing the accelerator. The trap's already set. And tomorrow, it would snap shut. Marcel's morning crowd parted like water as I walked in, though maybe that was just in my head. Ian sat at our old table by the window, 2 coffees already waiting. He'd ordered mine with almond milk, a detail that once would have made my heart flutter. You look beautiful, he said as I sat down, the same soft tone he'd used when he proposed. Don't. I wrapped my hands around the coffee cup, letting its warmth ground me. Through the window, I glimpsed Hope's car across the street, Griffin's surveillance van 2 spaces down. I know you're angry. Ian leaned forward, his cologne achingly familiar. But what Alison and I have, it's real, Sophia. Sometimes the heart wants... My grandmother's ring. I kept my voice steady. Where is it? He blinked, thrown off script. What? The ring you proposed with. The one that disappeared from my jewelry box the day after I caught you together. I met his eyes. The family heirloom you're planning to give my sister. That's not... He glanced around, lowering his voice. Look, your grandmother would have wanted... Don't you dare. My cup rattled against the saucer. Don't you dare tell me what she would have wanted. You're not thinking clearly. His hand reached for mine. I pulled back. Alison and I are worried about you. These accusations, these paranoid theories. Like the theory that you've been embezzling company funds. I pulled out my phone, sliding it across the table. Or that you forged my grandmother's signature while she was dying. His face went still. Behind him, through the window, I saw Prince's car pull up right on schedule. Where did you get those documents? Does it matter? I took a sip of coffee, channeling Alison's casual cruelty. What matters is where they're going. The board of directors, the family lawyer, the police. You're bluffing. But his hands weren't quite steady as he pushed my phone back. You wouldn't risk hurting your sister like that. My sister? I laughed, the sound sharp enough to make nearby customers turn. You mean the one who helped you steal my promotion? Who's been documenting my mental instability to steal my inheritance? Colour drained from his face. How did you... I know everything, Ian. I stood up, my chair scraping back. Every email, every transfer, every little plan you two made while pretending to love me. Sophia, wait. He grabbed my wrist. We can figure this out. Whatever you want. The cafe door chimed. Alison burst in, face flushed. What did you do? She demanded, waving her phone. The lawyer just called. The trust agreement, the company records. They're investigating everything. Other customers were definitely staring now. Through the window, I saw Hope step out of her car, Prince and Griffin flanking her. You promised to handle this, Alison hissed at Ian. You said she was too naive to... Naive? I twisted free of Ian's grip. Like I was naive when you helped me plan my wedding. Or when you consoled me after Mom died, all while forging documents in her office. Keep your voice down, Ian warned, standing. Why? Worried someone might hear the truth? About the fraud, the forgery, the... Enough! Alison's hand shot out, knocking over my coffee. Hot liquid splashed across the table. You want to play hardball? Fine. Let's talk about your little breakdown last year. The medications, the fake medical records you planted. Hope's voice cut through the chaos as she entered, badge visible. Those are interesting reading, especially the part where the doctor's signature doesn't match any licensed physician in the state. Alison's face went white. Ian started to move, but Prince and Griffin were already there, blocking the exits. You can't prove anything, Ian said, but his voice shook. I pulled out my grandmother's ring. The real one, not the replica they'd stolen. Actually, we can prove everything, starting with this. Where did you... Alison's eyes widened as understanding hit. The safe. You found Mum's safe, and everything in it. I turned to the growing crowd of onlookers, raising my voice. Would anyone like to hear a story about two people who thought love justified fraud, theft, and betraying family? You're making a mistake, Ian tried one last time. Think about your career, your reputation. My reputation? I stepped closer, close enough to smell his fear beneath the expensive cologne. My reputation is about to be the least of your concerns. The cafe door chimed one final time. The family lawyer walked in, followed by two police officers and a man I recognized from the company's board of directors. Perfect timing, I said, smiling at my sister's shocked face. I believe you all have some questions for these two. As the officers moved forward, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the window. I didn't look naive anymore. I didn't look reliable. I looked free. The Grand Hotel's ballroom sparkled with the decorations meant for my sister's perfect day. I stood in the doorway, watching the police photograph evidence instead of wedding flowers, cataloguing crimes where vows should have been exchanged. You okay? Hope appeared beside me, her detective's notepad full of statements. Better than okay. I touched my grandmother's ring, now back on my hand where it belonged. Just thinking about how different this room was supposed to look today. Ms. Cooper, a forensic accountant waved me over to where Ian's laptop lay open. We found something interesting in the deleted files. I walked over, my heels clicking on marble that should have carried my sister down the aisle. The screen showed a familiar document, my grandmother's will, but this version was different from both the real one and the forged one. Look at the date, the accountant said. This draft was created before your grandmother's illness. My breath caught. The will left everything to Alison, but it was in my grandmother's actual handwriting. I don't understand. She changed her mind, a voice said behind me. I turned to find Adam, holding a stack of letters. Found these in Ian's office safe. They're from your grandmother to Alison. I took the letters with trembling hands. The most recent was dated just before her illness. My dearest Alison, I know this will hurt you, but I've decided to change the will. Sophia has shown the judgment and compassion needed to manage the family's legacy. I hope someday you'll understand. She knew. The words tasted bitter. She knew Grandma had chosen me, so she and Ian decided to take what they thought she deserved, Hope finished, by any means necessary. A commotion at the doorway drew our attention. Prince entered, looking grimmer than usual. You need to hear this. He played an audio file on his phone. Alison's voice, crystal clear. Ian, you idiot, she was never supposed to find the original will. That's why we... No, listen to me. If she figures out what really happened during Grandma's last week, The recording cut off, but the implication hung heavy in the air. Are you saying I couldn't finish the sentence. The hospital's reopening the investigation into your grandmother's death, Hope said quietly. There were irregularities in her care during those final days. The ballroom spun slightly. Griffin appeared at my elbow, steadying me. There's more, he said. The company audit found evidence of long-term fraud. Not just Ian, other executives too. They're saying you exposed a whole network. I walked to the window, looking out at the garden where the reception should have been, where Alison and Ian would have danced their first dance as husband and wife if today had gone according to their plan. Ms. Cooper? The forensic accountant called again. There's something else you should see. But before I could move, the ballroom doors burst open. Alison stood there, still in custody, but allowed this final visit to gather personal items. Our eyes met across the room that should have been her triumph. Are you happy now? She spat. You've ruined everything. No, Alison. I crossed the marble floor slowly, each step deliberate. You ruined everything. The moment you decided love meant destroying anyone in your way. She was supposed to choose me. Tears streaked her makeup. I was the oldest, the one who sacrificed everything for this family. But she chose you. She always chose you. And you chose revenge. I stopped in front of her, close enough to see the sister I'd lost beneath the stranger she'd become. Was it worth it? She laughed, a broken sound. You tell me, little sister. Was your revenge worth it? I thought about the months of planning, the nights spent building evidence instead of crying, the strength I'd found in my anger. This wasn't revenge, Alison. This was justice. For Grandma. For everyone you and Ian hurt. Justice, she echoed mockingly. Keep telling yourself that. The officers moved to lead her away. At the door, she turned back one last time. You know what's funny? In the end, you became exactly what you hated, someone who'd do anything to win. I watched her disappear down the hallway, her words echoing in the empty ballroom. Around me, evidence was being bagged, statements taken, a criminal empire dismantled on what should have been its day of celebration. She's wrong, Hope said, joining me. You're nothing like them. I touched my grandmother's ring again, feeling its weight, not as a burden now, but as a reminder. No, I said softly. I'm something they never expected me to be. I'm free.